We don't like the big overhead lights. I think we all know that if we're watching this video. The simplest DIY that you can do is how I started and how I got into interior design was I studied architecture in school. I interned with an interior designer in Miami, but it was an hour away from me, so the commute kind of sucked. So I did that for a little bit, and I went into sales for interior design. But that was during the pandemic, so all the shipments were really backtracked, like months and months out, and so people weren't really buying. And so I started engineering and understanding how cabinets and furniture are put together. I grew up with a hammer in my hand, literally, because all of my renovations in my house growing up were with my dad, who's an architect, and he does project management. Such a vague term. And I come from a family with architects and engineers, and everyone is so talented. So I feel like I am obligated to be as equally as talented, which is a very hard thing to live up to. And I missed my architecture and interior design girlies. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna open up my own firm and just do it, because like, why not? So when I was in school studying architecture, my favorite architect was Zaha Hadid. All her designs are so elegant, and the way that she uses curves in all her projects is like her signature move, and I am obsessed with that girl. Like, I have such a strong connection to like California living and just like seeing nature from wherever you are inside. I feel like it's more trending towards Japandi and a little bit more organic modern. The DIYs that I would like to do on this channel, I'm gonna have my dad with me a ton because he is the one that works with all the wood and metal and big scary machinery things, and I am going to eventually learn because it's really not that scary. It's just very loud and potentially could kill you, but that's okay. We are going to girl boss, and we are going to face our fears, and we're going to use the saw, and we're going to use all the power tools and become independent ladies, because we don't need a man, but they do need to teach us how to be a man. You don't have to spend a lot to get a lot. You just have to know how to shop and what to look for, and if you're doing DIYs, how to construct properly and efficiently, so you're not having to build something, have it break, and then building it again. The simplest DIY that you can do is paint. Paint is not scary, and paint is really not that expensive, and it's a very impactful thing to do. And if you want to take it a step further from painting, you can do fluting or some kind of texture. So interior design does not have to be intimidating. There are power tools that can be involved, but some projects you can really just do on your own, like hanging up properly sized artwork. Repurposing artwork is a fantastic way to DIY some things that are a little more personal in your house, and that is exactly what you want to do. Everything in your house should be personal to you, because that is what makes a house a home, as cheesy as that sounds. We don't like the big overhead lights. I think we all know that if we're watching this video. So there are more than just overhead lights, and contractors don't really understand this concept because they will put like 6 in one ceiling in like a bedroom. I'm like, girl, I'm not living in a hospital. That is like my #1 recommendation. If you're renting, lighting, furniture, that all is something that you can personalize. Biggest pieces in your room, like the sofa or your bed, try to not have them be so trendy. So like curved sofas right now are super trendy. They are gorgeous. I freaking love them. But I don't know if they're going to last another 10, 15, 20 years, because there's going to be a new trend that comes in and squishes them. So If you're buying and looking for a sofa, make sure that it is a good quality sofa. The things that I look for in sofas are big cushions, and the ones that I have right now are connected to the bottom. Some of them you can flip, but some are just like a little piece of foam, so when you sit down, everything from the bottom will come up and there's going to be a gap underneath you. I hate that. That's usually something that comes up with like cheaper sofas, so just be mindful of how large your cushion is and obviously the rub count and all that for the fabric of it, and try to stick with a neutral color for that, especially because you're not going to be replacing your sofa or your bed frame every 5 years. Another thing that I look for when I'm looking for sofas are chunkier armrests. I just look for something a little wider because it's more comfortable and I feel like it's going to last longer. Another thing that goes a long way, especially in living rooms, are rugs. The larger the rug, the better, and you want to make sure that all the furniture is going to be placed either within it or halfway off of it. So for your sofa, for example, you're going to have the front feet on it and the back half can just be on the tile or carpet or whatever. And yes, you can put rugs on carpets. Every wall in this apartment was filled with art. In the living room, we had a lot of blues and oranges, so the artwork had a lot of blues and oranges. You have to think about the colors and you have to repeat colors a couple of times in the room to make it look cohesive, or else it's just gonna be like a splash there and a splash there, but they're not gonna be like, they're gonna be clashing, and we do not want that to happen. So here are some sneak peeks into some projects that I want to do and show on this channel. Basically start to end for DIY projects, the transformation of this house, transformation of my clients' houses, and how to become your best self in the process of this all. The way that I start all of my projects is obviously planning. So you have to plan out everything that you're doing. So for example, the furniture that I'm making, I've gone into AutoCAD and I've drawn everything to scale with measurements, dimensions, everything. So I know how much wood to buy, how many sheets I need, the budget, and how much I need to order, and how many screws I need, and how much time this is gonna take. And it always takes a lot more time and a lot more money. So what I use and what I find really helpful is homestyler.com. This is not an ad by any means, but I really enjoy using it. It's very easy, and once you get used to it, I feel like it gets easier. Obviously over time, as you practice more and more with it, you can find little things and little tricks to do. So the process that I do for all of my clients are basically have a face-to-face conversation with them to try and understand what their style is. And this is a very big part of interior design, and it's the reason that you're doing interior design in the first place, because either you don't understand your style and you want to know, or you don't care to know your style and you want someone to do it for you. I could even go into your closet and look at your clothes that you have, and I can figure out your style. If you go into my closet, everything is black, white, brown. Like, I am very neutral, and I focus a lot on like texture. Just create little files or like a little mood board and start collecting ideas and figure out why you like this picture, why you don't like this picture. Is it the color? Is it the texture? Is it the layout that you're not liking or that you're loving? And just figure it out. And you can put it into a mood board, and this just makes it easier, so when you go out shopping, you know exactly what textures to look for, what colors you're gonna be using, and what you need in your space in general. So you're not just buying like random picture frames and candles and like a bunch of weird stuff that you don't even know where you're gonna put, because that's called hoarding, and we're not hoarding. We are buying with intentions. But if you are going more technical and you're furnishing an entire house or you're buying cabinetry, you're gonna be a little bit more technical, and you're gonna need dimensions, and you need to know how big your space is so you know what to buy. Once you put it all into the space, you might find that It's not looking so much like your Pinterest board, and that is when scale and proportion come into play, and that is a huge part of interior design. It's not just picking colors and textures. It is really about where you're placing things, making sure it's functional and that it all works together. And that is the beauty of interior design and architecture, making sure it is beautiful and functional. Interior design is such a luxury commodity because the real interior designers that are like top dogs out there, the furniture that they're buying is not retail furniture. It's not from Crate and Barrel and Restoration Hardware. Like, those can be expensive, but the real furniture, not the copies, those are what real interior designers are doing, and they are curating basically art for their clients. And that is the interior design that we all think of when we think of, oh, my interior designer did that for me. Like, it is a luxury service. But I am here to say that virtual interior design can be just as luxurious without that high price tag. So if you need help more than these videos, you can still come to me and I will help you and hold your hand every step of the way, where you don't have to lift a finger and I will do all the heavy lifting for you. There's like a little smudge on here.